Social presence and collaborative learning in online education. Table of contents. This article explores the role of social presence, collaboration, and interactivity in online learning environments, particularly in CALL and CMC-based language education. Drawing on major studies and theoretical frameworks, it examines how teacher presence, group interaction, online communication, and learner engagement contribute to student satisfaction, community building, and effective virtual learning experiences. The article also discusses practical strategies for fostering collaborative learning, meaningful interaction, and socially constructed knowledge in asynchronous online classes. Video of social presence and collaborative learning. This video is not ready yet. Enhancing collaborative learning in online environments. With the purpose of enhancing collaborative learning in online environments, Palloff and Pratt 2005 propose the following guidelines. Social presence and student satisfaction. Social presence and student interaction in online language learning. Gunnerwardena and Zittel 1997, as cited in Cobb, 2009 conducted a study on the effectiveness of social presence as a predictor of overall student satisfaction in an inter-university computer conference based on an asynchronous text-based CMC. The participants were required to do a research project, share results with their peers, moderate discussion on their research project, and participate in the discussions of other students' research projects. The results indicated that social presence is considered to be a reliable predictor of student satisfaction. On the other hand, the findings proved that among subjects with a low level of social presence, emotion use had no effect on satisfaction, while at higher levels of social presence, emotion use was associated with increased satisfaction. Collaborative reflection and identity formation in CMC. Computer-mediated communication (CMC) in language learning. Hawk and Warnick 2013 carried out a comprehensive study on analyzing the content of teacher-trainees' asynchronous interaction in a discussion forum to explore how the trainees developed awareness in the asynchronous interaction they were involved in, with particular emphasis on the social context and the learning environment where the interactive activities occurred. The results showed that social presence has positive effects on both form and content of CMC-based learning. Likewise, it was clarified that the task performances of the participants in the forums developed from the individual and static stages of learning into an ongoing process of identity formation and self-awareness in response to ever-changing contextual circumstances. Moreover, Hawk and Warnick's 2013 study cast more light on the effectiveness of implementing collaborative tasks to spark collaborative reflection on issues related to participation, motivation, and thus, social presence in CMC-based learning environments. Community indicator frameworks in CALL and CMC. Asynchronous communication in language learning explained. According to Hawk and Warnick 2013, the following 4 community indicator frameworks have a considerable impact on the success of CALL and CMC-based language learning teaching. 1. Participation, patterns of core group activity, sustained engagement, etc. 2. Cohesion, turn-taking, use of humor, tolerance, etc. 3. Identity, establishing limits and boundaries, developing self-awareness in discussions, etc. 4. Creativity capability, sense of purpose, motivation, personal and technical skills, etc. Social presence in text-based CMC. It is believed that text-based CMC is potentially low in realizing social presence. Gunnerwardena, 1995, because the person should be considered a real person in mediated communication, page 151. Although sufficient interaction is necessary to promote social presence, it should be taken into account that according to Hall and Harrington 2010, the amount of interaction is not the only criterion to consider vis-a-vis social presence, that is, the type of interaction is also significant if not more important. They, Hall and Harrington, 2010, believe that self-disclosure and the use of effective language are also essential for actualizing intimacy and immediacy that are required in technological environments. Teacher presence in online learning communities. According to Hall and Harrington 2010, online teachers should assume some specific roles so that the development of a sense of social presence could be guaranteed. Teacher presence, through the design, facilitation and administration of learning, and immediacy seem to be of primary importance to account for an effective learning community or social presence. Gunnar-Wardena 1995 suggests that the teacher's communication techniques to initiate online conversations can positively impact the learner's perception of social presence. An emerging research area for the field of online learning is teacher presence or virtual visibility of the teacher as perceived by online learners. Baker, 2010. According to Baker 2010 and Picciana 2002, in distance education, teachers must be seen in order to be perceived as present in online learning communities. For this purpose, e-teachers, particularly online language teachers, should develop consistent patterns of interaction, communicate accessibility, provide consistent and substantive feedback, and moderate discussions effectively. 3 dimensions of social presence. Social presence in online learning to guarantee learner satisfaction and increase interactivity. Social presence consists of 3 major dimensions. 1. Social context, 2. Online communication, and 3. Interactivity. 2001, 2 and McIsaac 2002. In this categorization, online communication and interactivity seem to be interchangeable. However, the former is principally associated with the requisite skills, techniques and strategies in theory to actualize social presence, whereas the latter is more concerned with the required activities and tasks in practice to fulfill the same objective. Social context in CMC environments. Social context is constructed from the CMC user's characteristics and their perception of the CMC environment. 2002, page 296. Social contexts, such as task orientation, Steinfeld, 1986, user's perception of online settings, Steinfeld, 1986, privacy. 2002, topics, recipients, social relationships, trust, availability of CMC, and social process contribute to the degree of social presence. 2002, 2 and McIsaac 2002. It is believed that different social processes, setting and purposes are components of social context and affect social presence. According to Gunnar-Wardena 1995, CMC is generally described as a medium that is low in nonverbal and social context cues. As a result, she offers the following techniques for improving the social context in CMC. Distance learning and call in modern language education. Education is considered to be a social practice. Lowenthal, 2009. As a result, the success and effectiveness of any CMC program should be at the heart of its surrounding discourse. Herring, 2007. When it comes to applying learner-centeredness to CALL programs, a newer term should always be taken into account, and that is user-centered design, UCD. UCD advocates the inclusion and participation of stakeholders throughout the software development life cycle. It arose out of the need to bridge the gap between a system's initial design and its eventual use. Farmer and Gruba, 2006. UCD can result in socio-constructivist learning environments where teachers and students collaborate successfully, and CALL practitioners and learners act as both consumers and producers of knowledge within a specific community of practice. It promotes situated learning, which examines the roles of individuals in polymotivation, cognitive apprenticeship and autonomous exploration in producing high-quality learning. Regarding the social context of CMC, Shin 2006 conducted a study on the ecological considerations of virtual venues. The results of the study showed that the context in which online learning activities take place should be on the basis of an interconnected relationship among contextual elements of the learning environment that learners configure for learning tasks. Shin, 2006, page 78. In other words, the social context of online classes violates any exclusively rigid conception of learning and its contexts to account for group dynamics, co-constructed language environments and language socialization. Shin, 2006, Van Leer, 2004. Online communication and digital literacy skills. Online communication is concerned with the attributes of the language used online and the applications of online language. 2002, 2 and McIsaac, 2002. To be successful online communicators, L2 learners need to develop some text-based skills, namely typing, reading and writing in general, computer literacy, because without these skills, students will develop communication anxiety. Gunnar-Wardena, 1991, as cited in 2 and McIsaac, 2002, Sengupta, 2001, and the development of literacy and communication skills in new online media is critical to success in almost all walks of life. Schetzer and Warschauer, 2000, page 171. In this regard, 2002 suggests that training the students to use the medium and making them comfortable using it are crucial to the success of collaborative learning. Page 296. Strategies for maintaining online instructional quality, as perceived by both faculty and student respondents, include maintaining open communication with students, ensuring that online courses are as rigorous as their traditional counterparts, using a variety of instructional methods to appeal to students' varied learning styles, requiring students to interact with the instructor and with each other to foster group cohesiveness, and using group work to help students build a strong learning community. Gayton and McEwen, 2007. Asynchronous learning for busy language learners at LELB Society. Palloff and Pratt, 2007, contend that the following items indicate that a successful online learning community has been realized. Page 31. Beatty and Noonan, 2004, conducted a study on 10 students, 5 of them working on a computer interface based on a behaviorist model of instruction, and the other 5 working on a constructivist model of instruction, to investigate which one of the two instructional models would lead to a greater exploration and more instances of collaboration. It was hypothesized that a constructivist model of instruction would result in more collaboration, which was not confirmed by the analyzed data. Interactivity in online learning environments. Interactivity includes the activities in which CMC users engage and the communication styles they use, such as responsive time, task types, topics. Argyle and Dean, 1965. Immediacy in interaction. Baker, 2010, Cobb, 2009, 2002. Communication styles and size of communities. Swan, 2002, 2001. 2002, and McIsaac, 2002. With regard to interactivity, immediacy is of primary importance because responses in an asynchronous CMC are delayed and not immediate. As a result, a feeling of low interactivity in asynchronous CMC does diminish social presence. 2001. Call-based communication strategies for L2 classes. Chappell and Jameson, 2008, page 172, propose the following tips for teaching communication with call to enhance interactivity and social presence in virtual L2 classes. 1. Design communication tasks that challenge students to learn more English. 2. Use written electronic communication to help learners slow down the conversation and notice language. 3. Use written electronic communication for the whole class to provide more opportunities for participation. 4. Provide opportunities for oral interaction among learners. 5. Encourage learners to use online help during communication. 6. Teach learners strategies for electronic communication. Interaction and cognitive development in online learning. According to Richardson and Swan, 2003, interaction among participants is critical in learning and cognitive development from a socio-cognitive theory point of view, in which learning is identified as an interactive group process where learners actively construct knowledge and then build upon that knowledge through the exchange of ideas with others. 3 types of interactivity in online courses. Researchers in the field of computer-based education have identified 3 types of interactivity that support learning in online courses. Swan, 2002. 1. Interaction with content. The ability of learners to access, manipulate, synthesize, and communicate content information. 2. Interaction with instructors. The ability of learners to communicate with and receive feedback from their instructors. 3. Interaction with classmates. The ability of learners to communicate with each other about content to create an active learning community. It is important to note that these 3 types of interaction are, in practice, closely intertwined with each other. That is to say, interaction among students, for example, is supported by instructor facilitation and support, which, in turn, centers on content. These forms of interaction, however, provide useful lenses for thinking about interaction online. Swan, 2002, page 24. Indicators of a successful online learning community. Palloff and Pratt, 2007, contend that the following items indicate that a successful online learning community has been realized. Page 31. References. Share this post. About the author. Dr. Muhammad Hossein Hariri ASL. Dr. Muhammad Hossein Hariri. He's got related posts. Social presence and student interaction in online language learning. LELB Society in 2026. Strategy, roadmap, and future plans. Asynchronous communication in language learning explained. Related keywords. Leave a comment. Logged in as Dr.